All right, just as I mentioned in my previous video, I am interviewing Fallen420 about one of his Reddit posts. And if you could just take a moment and introduce yourself really quick. You said you were an aspiring, was it film director?
Yeah, I'm a writer-director. So my first name is Ryan, if you don't want to call me by my user tag. Get old. Yeah, I'm an aspiring writer-director. I graduated film school. I did a feature film as my thesis that I wrote. I got distribution for it. It's on Amazon Prime if you want to watch it. It's called Shadowboxing. I've been involved with the movie industry like probably my whole life because when I was younger, I was an actor.
Okay.
I did that for 2 years. When I was a kid, I had the false impression that if you wanted to make movies, then you had to become an actor because those were the people you saw in the movie. Those were the people that you saw on the red carpet.
It makes sense, right?
Once I actually became an actor and I got like a decent sized role and I was on a decent sized set and I saw this huge orchestra of people that are behind the camera that you never see, it sort of changed me. And so I quit acting, just had a normal life for a while, and then came back in my college years to go to film school and pursue directing.
You have this knowledge of the industry, which is really, really critical when you're talking about AMC, because AMC is partners with people like Disney, right? And so a big part of AMC is bringing these movies that people like you write to consumers and gives us that platform to view those. And I want to talk about your Reddit post specifically. You mentioned the death of the DVD and how that's impacted the industry. And I was wondering if you could just explain how it is that the death of the DVD has impacted the scripts that are being made into movies.
Theater releases for movies aren't really about making money. You can make money if it's super successful, but really for a studio or for a production company, releasing a movie in a theater really to them is considered like a marketing expense, because when someone experiences a movie in a theater, it sits with them differently, and then they have more active engagement with it over their lifetime than if they were just to watch the movie on television. So it's really, putting a movie in a theater is really about building an audience. Streaming services do not build audiences, loyal audiences for movies like theaters do.
This theater experience is critical in creating that bond with the consumer, such that the consumer will spend more money down the road, maybe even buy a DVD, right? And so I was looking, and it sounds like DVD sales grossed somewhere around $16 billion in 2005 when they hit their peak, and then fell to about $2 billion in 2018. And so in your post, you mentioned how the loss of that revenue has impacted the quality of movies.
Yeah, so I posted a link from an interview with Matt Damon that he did when he was on that YouTube channel with the Hot Wings and whatever.
Yeah.
And he kind of put it better than probably I could, but like the nutshell problem is that it didn't matter what happened in the theaters for a movie necessarily, because you always had this second opportunity to make money. Even if your theater release from a movie was lackluster, if it generated enough word of mouth while it was in the theaters, that could give you the momentum to go into the DVD release to really make up what you spent. Like, they always publicize what it costs to make a movie, but those numbers aren't accurate. A lot of times the numbers that get publicized about what a movie costs don't include what's called P&L, which is essentially advertising the movie.
Okay.
So like the rule of thumb is whatever you spent on production costs. So in the Matt Damon thing, he uses $25 million for as an example of a cost for a movie. That's like a medium-sized movie. Whatever you spent on production, you're gonna have to double that for P&L, which is advertising and selling the movie, right? So you spent $25 million making the movie. You edit it, you get it, it's called, you put it in the can, meaning you're done and you're finished. So you have the movie in the can and you release it. Well, no one knows what it is or what it's about or cares really. So
You have
you
to
have to
create the
spend
market for it to be viewed.
exactly. And so if you need to make $25 million back, then you need to spend another $25 million on top of that to get the kind of momentum for an excitement for a theater release, so that you can recoup your cost, which at that point would be 50 million. So you're talking about, that's a big hole to dig yourself out of.
Right, losing the DVD income would definitely impact that profitability, right?
Right, because essentially it went from movie studios having 2 bites at the apple to movie studios having like a bite and a half. Right when DVD died was right about the time that a lot of sort of retired Wall Street types showed up in Hollywood looking to finance and make movies. But because the finances of making movies had changed so drastically, they sort of tried to take over control of how individual productions run and dictate everything. So if you can imagine like a company, like a startup, where they go to a VC for funding, and then all of a sudden the VC is trying to tell them how to run their startup and what they should be doing and all this. It's like, no, you didn't create this company. You didn't have the idea. You're just supplying the money.
Yeah, and then the entrepreneur just kind of becomes a puppet. It's not even really their dream anymore.
Exactly. So it literally explains, like, all you have to do is look at the movies that have been released in the last 10 years and you see it, right? It's prequel. I said this in my post: prequels, sequels, properties based on like toys, childhood toys. Like they did a movie about Battleship, right? Like the board game. Because from their world, from the business world, they have this mindset that in order for a product to be successful, it helps that if the branding is correct, right? So if an intellectual property has branding or some kind of nostalgia factor in business language, that's a home run for them. They don't understand that the movie industry is this careful, harmonious balance between business and art.
The industry needs to evolve, it sounds like, and you mentioned the use of non-fungible tokens and how that could possibly be a part of this puzzle in helping the industry realign itself. Could you go into that a little bit, how the non-fungible tokens could be used?
The way the deals work with streaming services and movie studios, basically they get the license for a particular movie for a particular set of time, and there's like one cash payment, basically. So non-fungible tokens, I mean, admittedly, this idea came to me when I was hearing all this stuff about GameStop and what they think Ryan Cohen's going to do for video games, which I'm a big fan of. I grew up before downloading games and all this kind of stuff, and I found that being able to own a copy of a game, play it for everything that I wanted it for, and then take it back to a GameStop or wherever and resell it was great.
It has value as a consumer, right?
Right, because then I didn't really pay full price for that game. Like I paid for the game, and I got some value back that I could contribute and move forward to a different game in the future.
Because truly, the game still has value, right? Like, it can still be played, it can still be enjoyed. It's not worthless, right?
Right. And I think that goes tenfold for movies, because where games face the issue of like iteration and updates, right? Like, oh, this was on the previous console and I don't own that console anymore, or whatever the situation is. Movies don't really suffer from that.
That's true.
So they're a lot more liquid than video games are, but all the principles that the GameStop community has given this sort of speculative concept that you think Ryan Cohen is building in the background, it all applies to movies as well. We're not going to go to the way things used to be. Streaming services are here to stay. Piracy is here to stay. But that doesn't mean that because those things exist, that people still won't be willing to buy a direct copy if it means that they own it.
Especially if
right?
there's that connection, right? That emotional connection.
Yeah.
I am out of time. I do want to just ask you a closing question. Any guesses or speculation as to what Adam Aron's announcement is going to be on Sunday?
I don't know. I would love it for it to be an NFT marketplace. I would love for him to have like read my mind or something.
He kind of hinted. Did you hear that at the earnings call? He said, "I can't confirm that yet."
Yeah, I know. He said like AMC could be an issuer of NFTs and stuff like that. And so I hope it's this.
That'd be so
because essentially the marketplace I'm proposing would generate huge amounts of money in the long term. Like it wouldn't be an instant money maker, but as you accumulate and as you build the marketplace, it grows bigger and bigger. Like that, there is no sort of limit to how much money it could generate. Right. So I really would love him to pick up this idea. Honestly, almost for like selfish reasons, because I think it would fix the movie industry in a way that I need it to be fixed, so that it's easier for me to do what I want to do and what I love. So that's why I sort of just handed this idea away to the apes, because it's like, man, if they can get this, if they can get Adam Aron onto this and they can get him to do it, it would solve a ton of problems for me.
It could generate a lot of money too, and it'd be so bullish for the stock.
Yeah, exactly. So think about it. Netflix is like trading at like $600 a share or something like that. Like this,
like the dot-com bubble.
Yeah. But that would make where AMC's trading right now. If AMC was to announce this on Sunday, it was like, $40-$50 for one share of AMC. That's a deal. If this is where they're going, if this is the direction they're heading, like I'll pay $100 for that.
We just recreated the whole DVD market again.
Yeah.
And we're the only ones doing it. It'd be incredible.
Exactly.
It'd be incredible.
Yeah, and because they're not a competitor to studios, you'd get mass adoption from the rest of the industry like overnight.
I love the idea. I am out of time. And so I want to thank you for taking your time and talking to me about your Reddit post. And I should have this up in just a couple of days.